Okay, I'm with Isabel for the NQAT Daily. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. So we thought we'd dive a little bit deeper into Ten Hag and some of the changes the club is likely to make to his role since he is staying. First, how do you feel about Ten Hag staying?
I think deep down I am happy. There is some things that I'm like not nervous about, but there's questions I think still to be asked. But at the end of the day, I do think it's the right decision. I just don't think we had a clear option of who to bring in. So
Yeah, I think that seems to be the kind of general sentiment amongst the fans.
mhm.
Um, and I'm probably just about there. And then I look back at last season, look at how badly he screwed up, and it lost 19 games, and it's just
Yeah.
amazing he's still got a job. Honestly, in any other scenario, but for the takeover happening and the changes at the club, and the fact that a replacement wasn't obvious, even though
Yeah,
there's a lot of candidates, they talked to 7 people,
I
but
know.
it wasn't clear that any of them were better. So
No, that's the thing. And I think there's a lot of talk, obviously, that's what we're going to get into about,
yeah.
who we're bringing in. And hopefully it can work under Ten Hag. I mean, that's ideal, isn't it? Got to make it around Ten Hag now.
Well, yes, and give him the right kind of structure to make it work. So if
Yeah.
something was wrong last season, so they look in the medical department. Obviously, they brought in someone from Arsenal last season, but they're apparently doing a review of why there were so many injuries. That's really important, and medical and training and so on. And obviously, they've changed the way that transfers are going to be done this summer. Ten Hag's going to have a much reduced role in that, which I think is just reflecting every other modern club, basically.
Hmm.
And it'll test his ego, I'm sure, if they start bringing in players that he didn't explicitly say yes or no to. And then Rob Dawson on ESPN, take it with a pinch of salt. I don't think he has a real deep inside track on this one. Says that his source is indicating that they may bring in another coach, and they being Ashworth, Barada, Wilcox, may bring in another coach in order to implement this sort of game model, like club style. And it always struck me as it was a little bit incongruous when Ratcliffe said this in like his first interview. We are going to have a club style. I was like, okay, that's going to be interesting. Imposing that. How serious is it? And given that Ten Hag doesn't really have a style, does he fit into this? I guess we're going to find out, right?
I know that's the thing, isn't it? It's all just very uncertain. I don't even think Ten Hag really knows what's going on, to be honest. But I think bringing in all these people, we've just got to make sure it's the right people fitting into what Jim Ratcliffe actually wants for Manchester United. Does everyone know what he actually wants? I think it's all a bit up in the air right now. But yeah, I think it's got to whatever happens this summer, it's got to work. I think if Ten Hag's keeping his job, there's going to be a lot of pressure going into next season, not even just for Ten Hag, but for Jim Ratcliffe as well. If next season is a flop, there's going to be questions asked about Jim Ratcliffe as well. So it's got to be clear and I think well thought out about what's happening this summer and who we're bringing in.
Yeah, I mean, it strikes me that an awful lot has been done already, and perhaps more than has been acknowledged. And like everyone's impatient, of course. We want the team to be good and seem to be winning. And seems like they have a 3-year plan, and I don't know that they'll get that level of patience,
No.
really. And we'll see. Um, but new CEO, new technical director, new director of football coming. Head scout Steve Brown's still there. Matt Judge on the negotiation side still there, but new physio department. We'll see whether they bring in new people in other football areas, analytics, coaching. I mean, if they really do bring this coach in, that's an incredible sort of downgrade in Ten Hag's responsibility, isn't it? I mean, man, that would, like in any job scenario, that would kind of bash your ego, wouldn't it? Like you're no longer in control.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And they're talking about, I guess, taking this control off of Ten Hag and putting it more onto the club. But then there's talk about them offering it an even longer contract for Ten Hag. So I'm just a little bit confused about, how much control is Ten Hag going to have, but you're giving him possibly a longer contract. So to me, this kind of club-led game model thing that's going to happen or what's going on right now. For me, it's kind of like, oh, the idea that Ten Hag would be leaving after next season or midway through the season, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So for me, I just feel it's a little bit confusing right now. You know, what does everyone actually want, or are we not getting the right what's the word, like the right idea of what is going to happen? It's just all up in the air, isn't it? As always.
Well, I think it's interesting because the new management team don't leak. Like, it's just, there's nothing coming. They're keeping everything super secret.
Yeah.
Everything is basically a guess. And there are still people at the club in executive positions who are at the club under the old regime. There's fewer of them, but there are a few. And as I understand it, a few of them are quite happy to talk to the press. So I think that's some of it. So, like, take everything with a pinch of salt. But yes, I suspect the new contract is just about signaling to the players that this guy is here. But what do contracts mean in football, especially with managers, right? And it may well even have some kind of change in the clause, so he won't get his veto over transfers anymore. And maybe there's a pound figure if he gets dismissed. He's not paying up the full contract. It's like with David Moyes had, I can't remember what it was. Was it like 5 million or something when they sacked him rather than the full length of the contract?
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if they didn't do something like that. So signal to the players that you've got this guy's here, because otherwise the chance that they down tools might be quite high if things go wrong. But in reality, they can fire him if there's someone else comes along that they'd rather have.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe it's just clever thinking. They've got the tactics going on.
Well, the thing that really worries me, I kind of think of it as a bullet dodged initially, but Southgate's contract actually runs up to December. It doesn't end after the Euros.
Yeah.
I was like, no, please.
Yeah. Well, because that's a possibility as well. You know, Ten Hag, depending on the start of this season, how it goes next season, shall I say, it is a possibility that Ten Hag will leave around Christmas, and Gareth Southgate will be probably another talk for the next season at least. So, I mean, it's not what I want to see, but by the looks of things.
No, I mean, and I think it goes with this idea that Ten Hag's under incredible pressure. So they've said, hey, you're keeping the job after this extensive review, a bit humiliating for him, but at least we can say they were thorough and deliberate about it. But United lose on the opening game of the season.
It's not going to be good.
I mean, it's going to be absolute. I mean, people are going to lose the run of themselves on the internet, obviously, because everyone always does. But but even Old Trafford could. I don't know how short the level of patience will be if things don't start well next season. And there's no reason to believe that it's going to be some mega refresh of the squad this summer. There doesn't appear to be the money.
No, but that's the thing. There was something like, I think came out, Ten Hag has spent like 400 million over the last 2 seasons. And how much are we looking at going into next season? Is it about 50 million? Like it's not a lot of money. So, you know, this whole rebrand thing that's going on in the summer, we're keeping Ten Hag now, which is, I'm happy about it, but in the long run, I don't know how, you know, practical it all is. And there's so many things that need to change at Manchester United. And we do need to bring these players in. But like you said, if we go into next season and lose the first, I don't know, 1 or 2 games, I think the fans will just pull away from Ten Hag again. I'm nervous.
Yeah, with good reason, I think. Yeah. On the budget, it's quite a little bit hard to calculate it because we can see how much United owe. So as of the last quarter's accounts, I think we owed something like £280 million on transfers.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's amortized over typically 5-year contracts, and then you only take this block of 3 years for profit and sustainability. So 22 drops off. That was a bad year. But we've got, 21 drops off, 22, 23, 24 are all in there. And there's some really heavy spending during those times. Now, if you got really ambitious, if Mason Greenwood sold, let's call it 30 million, let's be on the low side, that translates to £150 million. Because you amortize it, so you can go 5x, but you have to sell him every single year to be able to do that. Like, it's still going to come off next year, but you basically you kick the can down the road and say, hey, we've got a problem for another year and we can spend some money. So, in theory, the transfer budget could be a lot higher as a result, but they'll be looking at that PSR window and going, hey, this year, next year, and the year afterwards. So the 3 windows we've got to think about. If we spend all the money now, we can't spend it next year. So, but it would definitely help. And it seems certain he'll go. It seems certain that Jadon Sancho will go as well. Now Ten Hag's staying. Yeah, unless he suddenly, There's more chance of Jadon finding Jesus than there is of finding the word sorry, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna come back anytime soon. But that's the thing, we've got to take all the money we can get. But no, it's going to be interesting to see who we sign and how many people we sign, and will Ten Hag have much of a say in it? I mean, will we ever know about that? Like you said, they're not going to release too much information by the sounds of it. But I think I want Ten Hag to have a say in it because, we're talking about this style of Ten Hag and whatever, and he needs to bring in players that he does want. But I do understand it being, about the club as well. And if Ten Hag, does get sacked within the next season, I think it is clever for the club to be, kind of doing it under their grounds, bringing in the players that they actually think will work for future at Manchester United. Because if Ten Hag's not here, we've got to focus on the players and who we're bringing in and for the future, I think, really.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, Ten Hag's reduced role and the impact on him is saying, hey, we as the club are taking responsibility, more responsibility, rather than looking to the saviour that the manager, which has been every manager post-Fergie, well, Fergie, but Fergie's unique. And then every manager post-Fergie's had all this power. And as soon as it doesn't work out, they're fired and you bring someone else in and the players don't fit and so on and so on. So they want to get away from that. But they're taking responsibility, and so it's the pressure, good. Well, no, it's absolutely right. I mean, it's basically what we've been asking for 20 years to have someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Now, whether Ratcliffe and his team know what they're doing, well, we're going to find out. I mean, they're trying to get best of breed in every position.
Next season's going to be a big test, I think.
It is. I mean, what would everyone. So let's imagine it works out and everyone feels good. So bring in a few players, manage to sell quite a few, bring in some players. It helps Ten Hag somehow fix whatever was causing the massive range of injuries, and Ten Hag can just focus on the coaching. Maybe bring in another coach because they're going to implement this club game model, whatever it is. What is success? What feels like good success under that model?
I think I want to be finishing top 4. Manchester United, we need Champions League. I think going into this season, I'm not, coming off the last season, it was a bad season. Like, we all know it wasn't a great season, but at the end of the day, we do have Europa League. I want to do well in Europa League. I think that's one of the things that we've struggled. I think one of the things we struggled with the most the past 2 seasons is European football. So next season, I want to do well in Europe. I think Ten Hag, I think he needs to do well in Europe. So hopefully, there was something I saw at Twitter. I don't know, it was like a post saying Ten Hag's first season Carabao Cup win, next season FA Cup win, next season Europa League win. And I mean, look, that would be, for me, that'd be the big thing of next season. So just a good European football, finish top 4, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. What's the because benchmark is basically these days it's league position, isn't it? It's disaster last season because we finished 8th.
Yeah.
Yet we won the oldest cup competition in the world, right?
Yeah.
There should be a lot of prestige with that, but the benchmark is where you finish in relation to your rivals and whether you're at the top table in Europe or not. And United aren't there. We'll be playing 2nd division football in Europe. And that's a reminder of how badly we did. So, have to get back there. I mean, obviously, it's Manchester United. The goal should be winning the Champions League and winning the Premier League. And somehow we've got to hope and pray that Barada, Wilcox, Ashworth and Ten Hag know what they're doing and are able to deliver that to us. And there's a pathway to get there.
We need it. That's the thing. I mean, I think loads of us, I'm over the moon. I think that we got that FA Cup win in Europa League, but if you'd have told me at the start of the season that's what we would have ended with, I don't think I would have been that happy. So I think that is what it is. It's a bit of like the false hope of that last season. So I don't know. It's difficult, but hopefully, I mean, I want to see some good signings as well. Like, I know we might not have all this money, but we need to be signing some players. I mean, Casemiro is unlikely to stay. There's always, I mean, there's so many talk about so many players that are leaving, but who are we bringing in? I mean, obviously that is rumours, but I'm not too bothered about the rumours until it's true. I just want some players to come in, and I want it soon, to be honest.
Yeah, fully understand that. I mean, like, the transfer season isn't a sport in itself, but it gives people hope, doesn't it? That things are getting better.
Definitely.
All right, well, that's Ten Hag's reduced role. He's going to have less of a say in the transfers. He's going to be effectively the head coach. We'll see if he signs that new contract or not. There's no guarantee he does. And maybe they're going to bring an extra coach in to help him out with his club game model. Who knows? Because they don't leak. So we're all guessing and yapping about it anyway. But Isabel, great to talk to you again. And everyone, thanks for watching. Catch you again soon.